right now, a lot of this research is focused around the idea of disease and health, which is why that video focused a lot about it. And I think that the reason for that is because, like you said, there are certain genetic markers that are like that you can't really think, like, you know, like your physical markers and stuff like that. Which, I mean, I would even argue, like, the idea, like you talked about the idea of like how tall you'll be. And I think that there are certain things in your environment that can determine that. Like if, as you're growing up, if you're in a lot of instances where it would be better for you to be taller, that might program your genes to start growing your body.
That,
yeah, exactly. Because you're growing still. So it's
that's
not like
what I was talking about. You remember that?
Yeah, exactly. You're not predestined to be a certain height. I think that you could possibly get to the point where we understand that if certain environmental factors are at play, those environmental factors will lend to greater height growth in your development as a child.
And so it's very, very interesting. And then this lends me to my idea. Like, I almost don't feel like a crazy person anymore, because I was sitting here developing this theory, and I'm like, I think you can think your way into being tall. You know, I was like, because I watched the goddamn Michael Jordan documentary, and then so often where they were like, yeah, he was a decent basketball player, but then all of a sudden he came back and he was 7 inches taller than
Anthony
he was.
Davis, Michael Jordan,
Scottie Pippen, like all these
guys,
people who just shot up all of a sudden over a summer, you know, and it's like they'll go from one junior year, senior year, they come back and they're 6'7", and I'm like, how all these basketball players
growth
do that,
spurts.
right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a very strong correlation between extreme growth spurts and future NBA stars.
And then so then I test this. I'm thinking this theory, and I'm like, this is a theory. I start telling my nephew, I was like, yo, you know, he's kind of he's on the shorter side, but he's only like 13, 14, right? Now we're looking at his genes, and he's got tall genes, right? Nobody in his family is like 7 foot tall or nothing, but his dad's relatively tall. He's like 6 foot something, and his mom's pretty tall too. She's like 5'7" or something. So I'm like, you got the genes in there, you know, whatever. And I'm telling him, I'm like, yo, just when you commit, trust me, the universe has got a way of coming around. To
stretch your bones out, baby.
Yeah,
sure enough.
And that's just a little seed that you plant in his head. It's not like you're telling him specifically,
I didn't tell him he could grow.
Like, think that you'll grow taller, and you will. You're just saying, like, hey,
yeah.
look, man, like, you'll probably grow up a little bit taller. You know, you got some good genes.
Like, you
and
still
stuff.
don't.
You sold him the magical beans. You said, hey, eat these magical beans.
You never
They'll
know.
grow you up.
But sure enough, as we've been talking and he's committed himself to basketball, Jessica came back. She was like, dude, Jason's tall as fuck. Boom. Like, all of a sudden, he's like, he used to be the shorter of the two cousins, right? Isaac's always been higher than he. All of a sudden, now Jason's like high as he is. Yep. She was like, yo, Jason's getting tall as fuck. And I was like, I bet you he is.
I bet you he is.
I bet you he keep getting taller.
I bet you I write a study about this shit.
This motherfucker end up 6'6", and I'll be like, see? Epigenetics.
Humans grow. Case closed.
Fucking told you.
Told you. I told you humans grow.
It's crazy.